Hello and welcome to the Scale Modelling Cafe, and welcome to this special episode which is going to be all about Iteleri's 2023 releases, the new tool releases, and I'm just going to offer my thoughts on them. I thought it'd be quite a nice little fun thing to do, pretty much on the back of the Airfix one that was done in the new year. I was surprised at the timing actually, thought it was a little bit late. But then, as I'm filming this, Nuremberg is going on. First time it's happened in a couple of years. So I'm wondering if the Italeri marketing lot thought, well, let's make the announcement in the week of Nuremberg and that'll spark some interest and stuff. I don't know. That's a complete guess. I'm not a marketing expert, but I thought, you know, maybe they delayed it a few weeks for that reason. I don't know. Who knows? Right. 3 kits to talk about, 2 in 1/72 scale, 1 in 32nd scale. The first one I'm going to talk about is the F35C. Now, obviously Airfix announced their 1/72 scale F35, but I've got a feeling that the two companies are taking a slightly different approach. The Airfix kit is only 40 something parts and comes with a stand, and they're releasing it initially in either a starter set or a gift set. I think therefore that maybe they are aiming at either the more casual modeler or the junior modeler, whereas Italeri, it's I believe, and I should have checked this before before I hit record, should have popped over to ScaleMates. I believe this is the third and final variant, is the C variant. I've got a feeling they've already done the A and the B. Reasonably nice kits. Italeri, for me, are kind of at the lower end of the quality scale. That's not to stick a knife into their back. It's not that at all. They are kind of the old school, mainstream, established model manufacturer. You know, your Airfix, your Revell, they're in that kind of the Venn diagram, as opposed to the more expensive but higher quality companies such as Edward, Armour Hobby, and all the mob in Ukraine, Clear Prop, Dora Wings, you know, ICM, all those guys. So I suppose you could call them second tier, but they are great value for money, and the quality is okay. You might take a little bit of work to get that refinement out of them, but hey, good fun nonetheless. So the F35C. Right, my thoughts on that. Some people in the UK are saying, well, the UK should have bought the F35C and gone cats and traps on the carrier. I can see the argument for that. There's a number of reasons why I think the UK went for the B version. Not least because the Harrier Mafia are embedded all the way up through the rank structure. But one of the things that came out of the Falklands was that the weather was so rough as down there that if we'd had cats and traps, then that would have seriously affected the availability of the Phantoms and Buccaneers over the islands, because the deck would have been out of limits. With a V-style aeroplane, you could operate in much worse weather conditions. Okay, the capability of the aeroplane, you're carrying around the lift fan, which if you're not on takeoff and landing mode is dead weight. That's less fuel, etc, etc. So there are those arguments to that. I guess it's pros and cons. So I see why we went for the B. However, the C version, I think it is arguably a better looking aeroplane with that bigger wing on it. It may well be slower than the smaller wing, the A and the B, but I bet you it turns better. It'll certainly have a higher rate of turn, I would assume. But, you know, other than that, but with the F-35, if you get into dogfighting, something has gone seriously wrong. but I think it's a good looking aeroplane and arguably the best looking aeroplane of all three. Will I be getting this kit? No, I won't. The F-35, it's a stunning machine, but as a modelling project, it does absolutely zero for me. Very little weathering potential, and all right, it's a pretty enough shape, but you can have it in dark grey or dark grey, really, can't you? You know, there's the aggressive version now with the two-tone, but even so, it's for me, it's a dull modelling subject, but I'm sure this will be very popular. Right, the next one I'm going to talk about is the 72nd scale AMX. AMX, it's I guess it's the kind of Italian / Brazilian version of the Jag, modern. It's underpowered, but it does a really good job of light attack, battlefield interdiction. I think it's a pretty aeroplane. Italians have got a hand in it. I doubt it's Pininfarina, but petrolhead reference there. But it's a really nicely proportioned little jet, and I think looks great. And in 1/72nd scale, to have a neutral would be fantastic. The make or break on this one is going to be the panel lines. When Italeri released the Sunderland and the Sterling, I know there was a collective sigh from the modelling world because of the panel lines were grossly overscale. People moan about Airfix, not recently because they've improved a hell of a lot, but you don't have to go that far back in Airfix's catalogue to find overscale panel lines. These were way past that. And for me, I'd love a modern, crisply tooled, highly detailed Sterling in 72nd scale. It'd be fantastic. I won't go near the Italeri one because I don't want to fill everything and then do a full rescribe job. Because for me, that's what I'm going to have to do. However, on this little jet, I'm sure it could do the old Airfix trick where they actually mould the panel line in a V. So if you sand the surface down, you get a narrower, crisper panel line. And actually, I suppose if I do it that way around, they're kind of soft. They're kind of curved like that. You take that off and you get a nice, sharp, smaller, finer panel line. So if it does come with that, then it's a little aeroplane, and it'll be, I reckon, not too bad a job to do all that. We shall have to see. But it's a really nice release. I'm very surprised Italeri haven't done it in the past. Being a Italian, all right, Italian / Brazilian, but you know, us Brits, we think the Jag's British, even though we know it's Anglo. Bit of nationalism coming out there. Ooh. So I am surprised Italeri, it's taken them that long to do it, but that would be really nice. And I think with a photo etch set, a resin seat, maybe some wheels, maybe even an exhaust, it'll just lift the refinement, you know, up to another level. So that's a really welcome release, and I am actually quite tempted by one of those. Okay, next up, 32nd scale, the big one, the Mackie MC, got to get this right, 202. Now here we go. Apologies to my Italian friends. It's either the Folgore or Folgore. Because Italians speak with a bit of a flourish, I'm going to assume Folgore. Wow, nobody saw that coming. I mean, crumbs. That is a pretty aeroplane. Italians have a flair for making pretty aeroplanes, especially in the Second World War. They've got some absolute pigs in there as well. But generally, they are lovely to look at. And this thing is streamlined and modern looking, and wow, what a great subject. The camouflage schemes as well, you can have it actually quite varied. Everyone's kind of familiar with the smoke rings, and that would be a right challenge to do with an airbrush freehand, but well worth it. But there's Luftwaffe examples in your standard mid-war greys. There's all over greens, so you can really go to town with the weathering on some of the sort of fading and the dust effects and all that kind of stuff. And in 32nd scale, that is going to be a stunning looking model. No idea how much detail is going to be packed into it. I mentioned earlier on that they're in the sort of Venn diagram with Airfix and Revell, and Revell's Hurricane, although it's a nice kit, it is kind of soft in certain areas. I'm led to believe. I've actually seen it in the flesh myself. So I can see this model being kind of like that, a little bit soft around the edges, as opposed to, you know, something, you know, like for example Hasegawa's 32nd scale World War II fighters, which are very crisp. All right, they're a bit bland in detail because they've, you know, they're really quite old now. But if obviously it's a bigger airframe, so therefore I'm hoping they can add that refinement to it. And no doubt there's going to be resin bits and pieces for this coming out. I can almost imagine Edward, for example, with seats, exhausts, wheels, maybe even an undercarriage bay, you know, air-res with a cockpit even maybe. So I think if you just, you know, hang on, then the aftermarket will really come to town and you'll be able to get a stunning model at the end of the day with that. One thing I'm sure that it won't have is rivets. And for me, if I was going to get that, then it would have a full rivet job on it, because I love riveted models and I think they really add that extra level of surface refinement. But again, I'm severely tempted by that as well. So some really good ones in there. No idea on prices or release dates. If I remember, I'll stick a link to the catalogue release in the bottom, in the description below, down there somewhere. So you can go and have a look at the full catalogue. No doubt there's some vehicles, military vehicles and civilian vehicles and trucks and car in there as well, but not really my thing. So I never really kind of look at those. But yeah, 3 really nice releases there. One has piqued my interest and the other one I'm actually quite excited about. Whether I actually do them or not, yeah, probably not. I've got so much on my plate this year. Maybe next year when there's a whole load of aftermarket out, I may well be tempted, certainly by the Folgore, or Folgore, that'll be top of my list. Right, there we go. I think I'll draw that to a close. So thank you, Italeri, for surprising us with those. They sort of came out of the blue. Yeah, I wonder what else is going to come out of Nuremberg, if anything. Exciting times ahead. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.